Hello, this is EunJoo Kim from EunJoo University. My presentation topic is structural relationship between reading attitude, reading motive, and reading strategies of university students. My presentation order is as follows. With the advent of the first industrial revolution, a lot of knowledge and information is being flooded. However, if you don't have the motivation to read it even though you have a lot of good knowledge and information, the knowledge and information are nothing but useless things that don't become your own. Reading is highly recommended in university for the purpose of cultivating culture. Reading enables the creation of new knowledge through critical thinking and exploration and knowledge acquisition. Reading at the university is an activity and allows students to understand rapidly changing social situation through intellectual reflection and to actively recognize the social problem. In particular, learning in college require a reading strategy in the process of reconstructing meaning by adding new knowledge to the existing knowledge that one has. Reading strategies are also possible through the reconstruction of the meaning of knowledge and deep thinking. The nature of these reading strategies is one of the ways to effectively study in college. However, many college students attempt that not to prefer reading as they are accustomed to using the internet and SNS. Also, if university students do not have the motivation and attitude to read, it is difficult to use the reading strategies, which is the ability to read the book. Most of the preceding research related to university student motivation for reading has been centered on primary and secondary school students, and most of the preceding research conducted on some university students analyzed the one-dimensional relationship between reading motivation, reading attitude, and reading strategy factors, and the analysis of dimensions. The detailed research are summarized as follows. First, what is the relationship between a college student reading attitude, reading strategies, and reading motivation? Second, what about the structural model of reading attitude and the impact of reading motivation on reading strategies? The following is a review of the preceding studies. The study target for this study was conducted on a total of 600 people for about a month from May 1, 2019 to June 71. Of these, a total of 505 parts were used for the analysis, excluding those with high missing value. Among the general characteristics of the study participants, 30.1% were male and female, 69.9% were female. The distribution by college and university was 47.3%, 46.1%, and 6.5% for health and industry colleges. For the department, the food industry and food department was the most distributed with 52 students, and the Department of Food and Nutrition was lowest with 22. This slide will show question composition. The following is the description of the research methodology. To solve this as a research problem, the analysis of the collected data used PASW statistic 80.0 and Amos 80.0 programs. First, frequency analysis and technical statistics analysis were conducted to examine the average and standard deviation of the demographic and social factor of those surveyed. First, frequency analysis and in addition, correlation were conducted to examine the relationship between the measurement variable and multiple cohorts with the mean high interrelationship among the independent variable was confirmed. In addition, the goodness of fit index presented in a college student reading attitude, reading strategies, and the model verification using a structural model between reading drivers was found to show how well the theoretical model was describing the data compared to the absolute equivalence index and the worst independent model. In order to evaluate a research model properly, it was necessary to select a model that is well matched to the data without being affected by the size of the sample, while at the same time being consistent. It also has the advantage of reducing the estimated error by reducing the number of parameters that are estimated to be less than the use of individual questions. In addition, parametric estimate adapted the maximum likelihood estimate. The next slide is the result. First is the correlation between the variables. Pearson correlation analysis was conducted among university students' reading attitude, motivation, and reading strategies variables. Correlation shown a significant static correlation among all the variables. We also checked for multiple erroneous with the mean high interrelationship among independent variables, and found that there was no problem in setting the structural equation models. The next slide will show the suitability analysis of the initial study model. The initial research model is shown in Figure 1, and the result of the suitability analysis are shown in Table 3. In order to analyze the structural relationship between reading attitude and the reading motivation of university students to reading strategies, we evaluated suitable by establishing an initial research model that said university student reading attitude affect reading motivation and reading strategies, and the reading motivation affect reading strategies. This slide is the conformity analysis of the modification model. The most suitable model based on these results in Figure 2, which show the direct and indirect effect between variables. The conformity results for this model are given in Table 4. Table 4 shown that the value of the index peaks indicator is 194.401. The significant probability is 0.49, and that the close fit indicator RMSA can be evaluated as having a good revision model with 0.09. The relative convergence index NFI, IFI, TLI, and CFI all conform to acceptance criteria and can be evaluated as good models. The effectiveness factor of the revised model for reading strategies is shown in Table 4. The suitability test for the structural model rejects the null hypothesis that the model would be consistent with the data at the significant level of 0.05, and some modifications were made to the research model by reflecting the good practice theory in order to explore that could better reflect the characteristic of the data. To modify the research model, the collection index multiplication index was set, and the correlation index indicate that the item need modification. There, it is necessary to examine the appropriateness of the modifying sequentially from the item shown in the modification index. Therefore, the correction model was designed and reanalyzed by studying the correlation between the error term 01 and G2, G1 and G3, G6 and G7 of the reading motivation according to the result of the correction index analysis. This slide is based on an analysis of effectiveness factor of the modified model for the reading strategies from the CR value as shown in Table 5. All of the past coefficient between potential variables was significant level 0.001. As shown in Table 5, the statistical significance of the estimated past coefficient and the past coefficient among the variables set in the revision model showed statistically significant probability levels in the effect of reading attitude on reading motive and the effect of reading motive on reading strategies and the influence of reading attitude on reading strategies. The following slide shows the direct and indirect effect of the measurement model on the modification model. The method for calculating the significance of indirect effect was to use the bias-corrected percentile method with the high degree of bias. In Table 6, an analysis based on bootstrapping method is presented. It was found that the motivation for reading is directly more influential in reading strategies than the attitude of reading students who use reading motivation as medium. Therefore, it is necessary to raise the motivation of reading first, although reading habits are also important in order to enhance the reading strategy of university students. Let me tell you the conclusion. This study analyzes the structural relationship between reading attitude and motivation that affect a college student reading strategies. In particular, the structural relationship between reading attitude and reading attitude and affected reading strategies was analyzed through the medium of reading motivation. The study results are summarized as follows. First, there was a static correlation between reading attitude, reading strategies, and reading motivation variables. Second, the reading strategies of university students show that the motivation of reading is directly more influential on the reading strategies than the attitude of university students who use the reading motivation as a medium. These findings are supported by study by Wickfield and Geary and Wickfield that show that high motivation for students to read increase the volume and scope of reading, and that they exercise the reading strategies. Therefore, it is necessary to raise the importance and awareness of university students' reading motives through this study and future study on the development of various programs to improve the reading environment in universities and support them. In particular, empirical research on the motive of reading by university students will be needed, and the study will be made that can provide basic data on reading strategies and reading attitude. Accordingly, we can expect to foster creative talent that will lead the area of fourth industrial revolution, which foster a sound personality while thinking critically. This slide is the list of reference. Thank you for your attention to the end. If you have any questions, please contact me by email. After I will reply by email. Thank you very much.